Of course I'm not. Good morning, good afternoon. No, of course it isn't. It's using the proper procedures of the Conservative Party when the policy that has come forward does not meet what we promised our voters. The Conservative Party referendum, on which almost all Conservative MPs stood, said specifically that we would leave the customs union. It did not have any small print saying, oh, unless we decide to have a backstop that is a permanent customs union that is harder to leave than leaving the European Union under Article 50. I think a coup is when you use illegitimate procedures to try and overturn somebody who is in office. This is working through the procedures of the Conservative Party. It is therefore entirely constitutional, and dare I say to Newsnight, coup is the wrong word. Well, what has been achieved today is not Brexit, and it divides, well, the law to leave has already been passed. The Withdrawal Act is through, but what we need is a leader who will say to the European Union, it is impossible to divide up the United Kingdom, it is impossible to agree to a situation where we have a perpetual customs union, it is impossible to pay £39 billion of taxpayers' money for a few promises which was meant to be 39 billion for an implementation of a deal, and it is impossible for us to allow the continuing jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. That the problem is that the negotiations have given away on all the key points. I don't think that's correct. We'll have to wait and see.
Laura, please.
Well, it's nothing to do with ambition of Brexiteers. It is about ambition for Brexit and the country. Leaving the European Union is the most fantastic opportunity of the United Kingdom. It means we can have the opportunity of setting lower tariffs, cheaper food, clothing and footwear, helping the least well off in our society the most. This opportunity is being thrown away. If you look at the deal, our tariffs will be set by the European Union, and it would be illegal for us to offer lower tariffs. This is not Brexit. This is a failure of government policy. It needs to be rejected. This is nothing to do with personal ambition.
Jacob, would you make a better leader than Theresa May?
Ms. Ginsberg is speaking.
Laura, no, we'll move.
Sorry. Well, the deal risks Brexit because it's not a proper Brexit, and the Withdrawal Act is in place, and therefore the law is already there for us to leave. But we've got a question from a gentleman from the Times.
Would you make a better leader than Theresa May?
I'm not offering my name as leader. This is nothing to do. This is nothing to do with me. This is about not having confidence in the current leader and believing that the deal simply does not work.
Hang on, Andy Bell, please.
We have heard Project Fear again and again. On and on it goes, but that all the aspects of Project Fear so far have been wrong. We were promised a punishment budget. That never happened. We were promised an increase of unemployment by 800,000 by voting to leave. That did not happen. We trade with other countries on World Trade Organization rules. It takes 6 seconds for goods to be cleared at Southampton. We do not need to trade on anything other than WTO rules. That will be an economic success, and we'll be free to determine our own future. Democracy will win.
Hang on, sorry, let's have order. We've got plenty of time.
Yes, but Mr.
Andy
Crick
Bell,
always gets. Oh, you want to know? You've had a go. Mr. Crick.
Who would make a better leader than Mrs.
The Conservative Party is lucky to be full of talent, and there are many, many people. You asked me that on the stairs coming down, and okay, well, who do you want me to start with? You've got Boris Johnson and David Davis, and you've got Dominic Raab and Esther McVeigh, you've got Penny Mordaunt. You have streams of talent within the Conservative Party who would be very capable of leading a proper Brexit.
Jacob, 1, 2, 3. Please.
Oh, we've got to have the Telegraph. I think one of the problems was having a Remainer, and that I recognise that compromises will need to be made, but the difficulty with having a Remainer is that people feel the compromises are made in a Remain direction rather than in a Leave direction. Oh, it's too late. You can't write a letter of no confidence. You can't come to a decision that you have no confidence over many, many months and then wake up the next morning and say it was a Dallas-style dream and I never really did it. So, no. My final decision after the Prime Minister's statement this morning, but I'd come pretty much to the conclusion that this was likely once I'd had the chance to read the papers last night.
Can you go to Ross and then Rob, please, and then you.
Well, the first thing to do is to go back to Brussels and say, look, the option now is that we leave under the laws that we have already passed without any deal at all. And that therefore we will move straight to World Trade Organization terms, we will be a third country, and we will operate on that basis, the basis with which we operate with the rest of the world. Bear in mind, only 7% of the world's population lives in the European Union, so our dealings with the rest of the world are very important. But I think it would be sensible to make a generous offer to the EU, a generous offer on EU nationals' rights in this country, on money for a transition implementation period. So I think there are things that could be offered and it would be wise to offer.
Rob, please.
So to follow up on that, why is the EU going to give you a deal, or whoever your new leader is, a deal that they wouldn't give to Theresa May, that they wouldn't give to Dominic Raab, they wouldn't give to David Davis?
Well, I don't think Dominic Raab and David Davis had much say in this. I think we know full well that
they were out-negotiated by the person.
It was being run by Downing Street. We know that very clearly, and you will remember the machinery of government written ministerial statement that was put out in July that made it quite clear the negotiations were being run from Downing Street and the Cabinet Office. So they weren't in charge of them. We didn't ask for the right things, and we asked for this customs union backstop. The British government asked to tie us into this ridiculous customs union backstop.
If you can, speak up just a little bit. This gentleman,
would it be a sign of a lack of support for your position if 48 letters haven't been sent to Graham Brady by the end of today?
Not by the end of today, but yes, if nobody else follows, if you lead people and everybody hides in a cupboard, that would not be a great position to be in. That is obviously true. I think the letters will go in, but I'm not giving a time frame.
Gentleman here, please.
Yep.
Who do you think should be the next Brexit secretary?
I don't think there's much point in a Brexit secretary when it's all being run from Downing Street. Obviously not. I'm so sorry. Well. Okay. First of all, if you think my suit's pinstriped, you need to clean your spectacles. Secondly, we are a democracy. And that's why these splendid people can shout away, because we believe in the right of free protest. And that chap's a great man. He was up at Birmingham and he's everywhere. And that's what democracy is about. You make your case, and then you have the vote and you accept the result. Many, many people of the 48%, as shown by opinion polls, accept the result even though they did not like it. And that's the nobility of our democracy, and that what we have voted for should be implemented, and the Prime Minister is not doing that, and that is why I have no confidence.
Jacob, can you look straight at Chris? We're going to get a photo there. Okay.
Yeah.
How soon can you get a new leader, do you think?
I think it can be done quite quickly. I think the parliamentary processes can be sped up, and bear in mind the Conservative Party now has a list of members at central office. It doesn't have to go around the country asking who the members are. Oh, not months, but I think weeks. I think it would be unrealistic to do it faster than that.
Is the democracy the right to change your mind?
Of course people can change their mind, but how do they indicate they've changed their mind? We have a system, and we know perfectly well that we got this referendum because it was a manifesto commitment in a general election. We then had the referendum, and we then had a general election where both main parties recommitted to implementing the referendum result. So yes, of course, if there were to be a general election and a party were to stand on a platform saying they wanted to reverse the result, that would be democratic. For there to be a cabal, a coup, an attempt to overturn the vote without any of that happening would undermine people's trust and belief in democracy.
I think Nick Watt wanted to come in again.
People always call for unity when the policy that they're following is wrong. It's the standard patter of Conservatives when they note that there is failure in the air. Are we done?
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think what we'll do is just step forward for a couple of questions. Photos.
Well, it would show a very large number of people.
Would you fall in behind the Prime Minister?
No, because if you would
So, guys, can we continue? It's the second, Jacob.